Hi you guys, my name is Cherita. I'm the most positive person you'll ever meet. I guarantee it.
And it's bubbly, 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 bubbly. We are singing to our love.
It's been like, what, 2, 3, 4, 5 years? I missed you guys so much, but I've been dealing with some things, and I know usually I do like reaction videos, but the way that Varsity and Flow Cheer is set up, I feel like it's best that I protect my channel and I just lay low until all of it gets figured out. So with that being said, I am so happy that Netflix picked up on this docuseries called Cheer. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking about this in 6 parts because, as you guys know, I can talk for a very long periodically time. And this is going to be a recap and then plus some of my commentary about the first episode of Cheer. If you guys are interested in this video, go ahead and keep watching. Before I get started, make sure you click subscribe for new videos when I post them. And do not forget to click the notification bell so that you are notified every single time that I post a video. So let's get started. So as you can see, I have notes upon notes upon notes upon notes. And yeah, so we are going to start from the very beginning of the show and work our way all the way to the end of the show. So the series opens up with some of the athletes talking about how Cheer has saved them, but it was very vague. You know, it was like, I was in a dark place, I could be in jail type deal. So you didn't really know what their story was, but it drew you in because you're like, oh, if it wasn't for cheerleading, like what would they be doing? And let's find out how they got here. So I think they did a very good job just drawing you in, talking about, oh, like this person had this struggle and this person had that struggle. Then there's like a montage of them throwing all of these skills, but nothing hitting. It was like people falling, people twisting their ankles, and then you're like, well, dang, like, are they ever gonna get it together? Because it does not look like they have what it takes to actually do these skills. So then it talks about how cheerleading used to be. And y'all, when I tell you I was cackling at those jumps, the prep, the technique. I mean, I get it. Everything starts from somewhere, but this wasn't that long ago, and I was just sitting there like, see, this is what people truly think cheerleading is. Like, they just, you know, rah, 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 because that's literally what they were doing. But then there was like one girl, and I want to say it was at a competition, and she was doing this dance full out, and I was like, yes, honey, like some things don't change. Like the way she was working that dance, I was like, see, that's what I'm talking about. So then we meet Monica, Miss Monica. Ooh, I love that woman. But I did have an issue with her talking about Daytona and how she was like, this is the competition for college, you know, for college athletes. And it's like, I mean, I understand that is A Nationals, NCAA is A Nationals, but there's also UCA Nationals. So we don't want to like highlight one varsity competition over another varsity competition. That's just like comparing cheer sport to NCAA. It's basically the same thing. They're both 2 huge competitions, but Daytona is not the all be all when it comes to college nationals. Now, what happens on Daytona Beach, like Stunt Fest, yeah, that's something that every athlete wants to be at. Like, the only competition that is the competition is Worlds. And there really is no Worlds for college. There's just a few really prestigious college nationals within varsity. So you've got NCAA, you've got UCA. They're the same. Like, it's the best of the best. Another thing that I noticed is that they were using the pronunciation of Navarro or Navarro interchangeably. So I don't know which one it is. I don't know if it's Navarro. I don't know if it's Navarro. The first time I ever heard of the college, I said Navarro, but then they started saying Navarro. I'm confused. So y'all might hear me saying it interchangeably. So It is what it is. So a little background on Navarro. It is a junior college. At this point, the very first episode, they have 13 national champions. 2012 was their first year winning grand champion, which grand champion means you have the highest score of the entire competition. And they did it 5 times after that, which is huge for a junior college. I mean, it's huge for anybody, but just because of how people look at junior colleges, it's huge for a junior college. Okay, so usually when teams or programs become very good, you start seeing an influx of talent that you didn't have. Now, I'm not saying that these athletes don't work hard, but you do start to see stronger athletes that are interested in this program. It's just like any professional basketball team, just like any professional football team, even all-star athletes do it. You know, they see, oh, this gym is starting to do really well. Sometimes they pack up their entire family and they move across country just so they can be on this team. Or, you know, parents send their athletes across the country so that they can be on a, you know, on a really good winning team. I feel like the fact that Navarro is so successful, that it's driven a lot of talent to them. So Navarro is in Corsicana, Texas, where apparently they sell 1 million fruitcakes per year. I thought fruitcakes were a myth. I didn't know they were real. I thought they were a joke of when it came to Christmas time, but apparently they're real. So we've already met Monica, but we start to see what kind of coach that she is. You know, her motto is, we do it until we get it right, and we keep doing it until we can't get it wrong. And that's like on a whole other level than practice makes perfect. But Monica is serious when it comes to making sure that it is perfected. And they were at practice and something was going wrong. The pyramid, some stunts or something. And she was like, that wasn't the last time. And it isn't going to be the last time until you get it right. And then the camera pans over to Jerry's face and he's like, and we will meet Jerry soon because I love me some Jerry. So I wanted to point out that after college, there's nowhere to go for competitive cheerleaders. Once a football athlete goes Pop Warner, then they go high school, then they go college, then they go pro. And then for gymnastics is a club sport, meaning they don't really do it at schools, but they do it at, you know, their home gym. They compete, they travel everywhere. And then if they're not an elite gymnast, meaning they're not professional, they can go to college and do college. But there is still that option of being an elite gymnast and possibly going to the Olympics. When it comes to cheerleading, you can do Pop Warner or you can do club cheerleading, which is considered all-star cheerleading. After aging out of the senior age of all-star, you can continue to do like international or open or anything like that. Or, you know, once you're out of high school, you can go to college. But after college, what is there to do? I mean, you can always go back to all-star, but like, what is there professionally for cheerleaders to do? I do know that there are a few select NFL teams and NBA teams that actually do stunt, but it's a very select few, and you do not get paid like a professional does. So there's that. So now we are back in Corsicana, Texas. It is spring semester move-in days and 68 days till Daytona, which Daytona is the cheer competition that they are ultimately getting ready for. So we meet Lexi. I love Lexi. Like there's just something in my heart that just feels for this girl. Like I love me some Lexi. So Lexi is telling her story how she's a high school dropout. She didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. She's so grateful for a dream to be at Navarro. And the best thing about this particular interview is that her grandma's phone kept ringing, and you could tell she's like trying to keep it together, but then she's like, oh my gosh. But it's okay. It's all good. It works, Lexi. We're good. Then we meet Jade and her boyfriend Nevada, or is it Nevada? And Jade talks about the pressures of there being 40 people on the team of Navarro, but only 20 people make mat. Now, make mat. What does that mean? Making mat means being on the competition mat, being on the floor actually competing at Daytona. So out of 40 people, only 20 of them will be able to walk onto that stage and perform. Then we meet Andy, the assistant coach. This first episode is a lot of meeting people, and some people we don't ever see again, and some people become like a staple. It is what it is. So Andy is the assistant coach of Navarro, and he talks a lot about how people come from, like, whatever program they come from, they're used to being the best at that program. And that's what I was talking about earlier, about how because Navarro is so successful, it drives all this amazing talent. So all these people are used to being the best of the best from where they come in, you know, from where they come from. So you have a lot of really strong personalities that you're trying to, make whole, make sure that not too many people outshine too many people, and that not everybody is butting heads, but there's a lot of strong personalities on this team. Monica says, I have a strong personality that you can mic if you want to. He might be too over the top though. Insert Ladarius Marshall. Now, I know y'all have seen that viral video of Ladarius on the sidelines. They're doing the fight song, and everybody is, doing their motions. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Oh, no. Not Ladarius. Ladarius is talking about how he was a very talented football player, and he was really good at it. He was better than all his brothers, but his heart was within cheerleading. He had never really seen any boys doing cheerleading. And then, his teammates and his family would call him Fruity because of his mannerisms. And then, he would get into fights. Back to the football thing, he said he did like a round up backhand swing tuck when he scored a touchdown, which that ended up, the referees calling the touchdown back. So football really just wasn't in his heart, but he did it because he was good at it. So then when he realized that he could do cheerleading and be a cheerleader, he was like, I know what I'm doing. And my favorite part was when he's like screaming at the football players, and he's like, push him back, stomp on his neck, stomp on his neck. And I'm like, is that what we're doing now? We're stomping on people's necks? Like, y'all, Ladarius is a trip. So I mentioned something earlier about all-star programs, club programs, competitive programs. There are a lot of Navarro athletes who attend cheer athletics, which is in Texas. Now, cheer athletics is another very strong program. So you've got these strong college athletes going to this strong all-star program. And so you've got these athletes that are balancing 2 cheer teams plus school. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. At the same time, they are talking about this other athlete by the name of Gabby Butler. We don't know who Gabby Butler is. I mean, we know who Gabby Butler is, but for anybody outside of cheer watching the show, they're like, Gabby what? So they're talking about Gabby, and it's like, so are we ever going to meet her? Or we don't meet her episode 1. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. So now there's a community rally that the Navarro cheerleaders are asked to participate in. And so they have to learn a dance and some tumbling skills and some stunting skills and whatever. So poor Lexi is out there. She's trying so hard to learn this choreography, and she's like, y'all, I don't know what I'm doing. So eventually Monica was like, girl, just come on out. No, like all the way out. And she's like, oh, thank God. Like, I know sometimes people are like, dang, they pulled me out of that section, and they get all, butthurt about it. But Lexi's like, listen, that is not my strong suit. So I'm not mad that I'm not in that part. Do I get to tumble? Do I get to throw a couple standing fools? Mark me down, because that's what I do. Lexi is this amazing tumbler who I guess has never had to pay for cheer. She later goes on to talk about how she never could really afford it, but because she had such amazing talent that they were like, okay, Lexi, we really want you on the team, so don't even worry about it. But it sounds like she never really took that for granted, but we'll get there later. She does talk about how she's kind of an outcast and how she wasn't invited to a specific birthday party. And come to find out, of course, it wasn't what it seemed. I guess it was a surprise party. So the girl in question, the birthday girl in question, wasn't in charge of the group text because it was a surprise party. But, Lexi just wasn't part of that group chat at that time. If y'all follow Lexi on Twitter, shameless promo, if y'all follow her on Twitter, she tells people. She'll let you know what it is. The next couple seconds / minutes, I'm going to include a trigger warning because I'm going to be talking about weight. So you hear this voice, Morgan, talking about, hopefully I'll be so skinny that you'll be able to see my ribs. Then she goes on to talk about how she needs to weigh herself so she can see how much she needs not to eat. And while she weighs herself, she's like, we get weighed at practice anyways, so it doesn't matter. Homegirl weighs 96 pounds. Now, I'm not here to body shame or weight shame or anything like that, but the fact that she weighs 96 pounds and she's worried about her weight, and then she talks about how, she needs to weigh herself to see how much she needs not to eat. That's like showing people that cheerleaders need to be a certain size or they need to be a certain weight in order to be flyers. Now, when I cheered 100 years ago, we got weighed. However, and this may be the situation, we were weighed to make sure that we were not losing weight just to become a top girl. We were never told our weight. We were just weighed, and our coach would write it down, and then she'd weigh us again and again and again and make sure that our numbers stayed consistent. And I was a flyer. So it had nothing to do with, oh, you need to lose X amount of pounds. So I think this section of the docuseries was handled poorly because it makes it seem like that's all these flyers are doing. It's like, ooh, I have to make sure I'm the skinniest so that I can stay in the air. And it's like, no, you guys need to be healthy so that you can hold yourself up in the air. So that part was kind of like, really questionable, really iffy, because they never elaborated on it, nor did they ever revisit that part of what they included in that documentary. I don't know. So then we officially meet Jerry. When I tell you you need a Jerry in your life, get you a Jerry in your life. Now, I once cheered with somebody who 100% reminded me of Jerry, but that's kind of a touchy subject, and maybe I'll talk about it later in the documentary. But I had a Jerry, and all I'm saying is get you a Jerry. So the part that took me out is when Jerry is like sitting there watching cheerleading on his phone, and he's like, listen, like the Cubs need to redeem themselves and blah blah blah. And it's like, who are the Cubs? A mini level 2 team. If y'all don't know anything about cheerleading, mini means they're like 8 and under, and level 2 means they do back handsprings maximum. If you don't know what a back handspring is, I don't know what else to tell you. So like, he just loves all things cheer, and I relate with him. And I actually fell in love with Jerry when I saw him performing for an all-star team for ice at Worlds. So I was watching Worlds here at my house because I had to, live stream it couldn't make it to Florida that year. And I had tweeted and I was like, I need to find out who this man is on Ice Radar. And somebody tagged me. And then, you know, me and Jerry had a little 2-second conversation. But like, I saw then, I was like, yes, like that boy loves cheerleading. And like, I saw it then, I see it now. Like, I just, get you a Jerry. Follow him on Twitter too. Okay, so then we get to like this part where they're all in school and it was like, we teach you all things Texas. And it was like fun facts to get you interested in Texas. And I'm just gonna read them because I'm not gonna remember everything. So the professor was like, you're gonna learn about state government in Texas because, you know, we really take our state government very seriously. And Jerry was like, oh, okay. You know, he started taking his little notes. And then she goes on to talk about like gun laws and whatever. And she was like, I'm the biggest gun-toting broad you'll ever meet. Okay. All right. And then she starts to talk about how, you know, we're very conservative and pro-life. And Jerry was like, you just saw his face just like change. And I thought that they were going to expand and talk about how conservative Texas is and what that means for some of these particular athletes, but they didn't do that. And I was just kind of like, I felt like that was lost, and it could have been like a teaching moment, or it could have been a discussion moment or something like that, but they didn't go that far, and that's fine. But I just thought it was funny the way that they captured Jerry's facial expressions. So then they start talking about pyramids. Old school pyramids versus new school pyramids. And when people hear cheerleading and pyramids, they automatically think old school pyramids. Like everybody on all fours, and then somebody stands on top of them, like on all fours, and then one person stands up on their, you know, on the backs of those people, and they're like, and that's a pyramid. And, you know, they just build up and they build down. Now, you get about 5, 6, 7, 8 structures in a pyramid because the pyramid is constantly going. So I'm glad that they touched on those. Oh my gosh. The one thing that I'm glad is not a thing, like once cheerleading became more athletic, they started doing pyramids with what were they called? Like suspension falls, where they'd be in a pyramid and the whole pyramid would just fall like this, and then everybody would roll out. No, that's one thing where it's like, who thought that was a good idea or safe? And I don't remember if they showed any of those types of pyramids, but they did show the difference between old pyramids and new pyramids, and I really like that. So then they go on to talk about how cheer accounts for the most catastrophic injuries in a women's sport. I have always said that is not a reason to brag, and 2, it's not a reason for cheer to be declared a sport. Just because there are a lot of injuries doesn't mean that, oh yeah, we're badasses and this is why it's a sport. Look at gymnastics. Gymnastics is just as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than cheerleading. And the injuries are nowhere near as significant as they are in cheerleading. Why? Because of the conditioning and the coaching. There's reasons why athletes don't normally get hurt. It has nothing to do with the difficulty of the sport. It has to do with the conditioning and the strength training and stuff like that. So that's one thing that I just wish people would stop saying, like, yeah, we have the most injuries, so we're a sport. No. If anything that it shows is that we are lacking the conditioning and the knowledge that it takes to become an actual sport. So now we are 61 days until Daytona. And they're still working the pyramid. There are a lot of falls, and it's very scary. By the end of episode 1, there are 3 girls out with a concussion, or with concussion-like symptoms. And Jerry has a bloody nose, and he's got to stick a tampon in his nose to, you know, to control the bleeding. And do y'all know what they ended this first episode with? It was a song, and it was like, "Catch Me, I'm Falling." And I was like, you know what? I'm done. Y'all are too much for me. So that is my recap of episode 1 of Cheer. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you give me a big thumbs up. That helps me out a lot. Make sure you share this video. Let's get cheerleading trending on all social media platforms. It's already, you know, trending on Twitter. They done found the partner stunt from UCA Nationals from the Moorhead cheerleaders, and regular Twitter is going crazy. Navarro was just on Ellen. Like, let's get cheerleading trending. Let's get people interested about our sport or lack thereof. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a positive and love-filled day. Bye.